I've worked with stressed entrepreneurs for years as a psychologist and coach, and nearly every single one is killing their business by being too nice. You say yes to every request, every late night email, every favor during your work hours, and you tell yourself that's what good entrepreneurs do. But your body is sending you signals you keep ignoring, and your business has probably stopped growing because you're too exhausted to think straight. The research on burnout is clear. It's not just about your health, it's about your income. Let me give you the 4Cs framework so you can protect yourself and your business starting this week. How yes became your default. Your phone buzzes at 10 p.m. and it's a client asking for just a quick change. You answer. Your friend needs a favor during your only focused work block on Tuesday morning. You say yes, your family expects you to drop everything because you work from home and they think that means you're available all day. You agree because saying no feels worse than being exhausted. This pattern is especially brutal for female entrepreneurs. You built a business to create freedom, but now you're carrying the emotional load at home and the entire weight of your company on your shoulders. You want to be a good partner, a good mother, a good friend, and a successful business owner. So you say yes to all of it. The thing is, we have a lot more stress than 20 years ago, and that's because you're asked to do more work in less time. Work density has risen. Psychologists and psychotherapists are realizing that depression has climbed steadily over the past 2 decades, and depression is part of burnout. You might not feel it yet, but be careful that you're not running into it. People pleasing, perfectionism, and high expectations are core drivers of chronic work stress. You want to please everybody, and that doesn't work. Therefore, you have a very high stress level. Perhaps you don't even feel it, but your body is keeping score. Over the last 24 years, depression and mental illness have risen tremendously, and overwork is a huge part of why. The processes of work are getting faster, and you're expected to adjust to all the new ways of working, but your body and your mind won't run 24/7. Think about what your yes actually costs you. It's not just the 20 minutes you spend answering that late night email. It's the sleep you lose because your brain switches back into work mode. It's the resentment that builds when you realize you just worked for free again. It's the creative energy you don't have the next morning because you never actually rested. Your brain and body need breaks to function. You have got to take breaks, and your yes is stealing them from you. So what can you do? It's not about becoming difficult or shutting people out. It's about understanding why your boundaries keep falling apart and then using a simple framework to rebuild them. Your yes isn't kindness. It's a slow leak that's draining your energy, your creativity, and your ability to grow. Why your boundaries keep collapsing. So why is it so hard to stop? 3 hidden forces keep collapsing your boundaries before they even have a chance to work. The first one is guilt. If you say no, you worry they'll think you're not committed or not nice or not capable. This is especially potent for women because we've been socialized to be accommodating. From the time we were little, we were praised for being helpful and agreeable. Saying yes feels safe because it keeps everyone comfortable except you. And that comfort comes at a direct cost to your health and your business. The second force is unclear boundaries. You think you set a boundary, but you never actually stated it out loud. You just hoped people would notice you were stressed and back off. Maybe you sighed louder or complained about being tired or joked that you really need a vacation. But hinting doesn't work. Research shows that hinting or ghosting isn't effective. You need to tell people directly what your boundary is. I see this all the time. A client tells me she told her family she needs more space to work. But what she actually said was, I have a lot on my plate right now. That's not a boundary. That's a weather report. Her family nodded sympathetically, then continued walking into her office because she never said, when my door is closed, I'm working and I can't be interrupted unless it's an emergency. If you say, I need more time, instead of, I don't answer client messages after 7 p.m., nobody knows what the actual rule is. Vague boundaries are just wishes with costumes on. The third force is inconsistency. You say no on Monday when you're feeling strong, but yes on Tuesday when you're tired. Every time someone crosses your boundary and you let it slide, the rule becomes optional. People learn your boundaries are suggestions, not rules. They learn that if they push hard enough or wait long enough, you'll cave. Your inconsistency teaches everyone around you that your needs are flexible, which means they stop taking them seriously. Here's what most people miss. There are 4 ingredients that make boundaries actually stick, and most entrepreneurs are missing at least 2 of them. I'm talking about clarity, communication, conviction, and consistency. The first 3 are hard enough. But conviction is where nearly everyone falls apart. Stick with me, because once you understand how conviction works, the other 3 become almost easy. The 4 C's framework boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're gates that protect the energy you need to show up fully. Research on boundary setting consistently frames boundaries as a form of self-care and self-respect, not punishment of others. When you draw a line, you're not being mean. You're being honest about what you can sustainably give. The first C is clarity. You need to identify the specific behavior you want to change, not vague wishes like I need more balance, but concrete rules like I don't check work email after 7 p.m. or I take a full lunch break away from my desk. The more specific your boundary, the easier you can enforce it. I need space is unclear. I don't take client calls on Friday afternoons is a boundary you can actually keep. The second C is communication. You must explicitly state your boundary to the people it affects. Use I statements. I need to focus during my morning work block, so I won't be available for calls before 11 a.m. Don't over-explain, don't apologize, and don't negotiate before you've even stated it. The research is clear. Assertive, not aggressive. State your needs calmly, clearly, and without excessive explanation. Your boundary isn't up for debate. It's information, not a request for permission. The third C is conviction. This is where everything shifts. You need internal commitment to uphold the boundary, not just say it. If you secretly don't believe you deserve the boundary, you won't maintain it. This is where most people fail. You set the rule, but part of you still believes that good entrepreneurs are always available, or that saying no makes you difficult. You worry that if you're not constantly accessible, someone else will take your place. But here's the truth. Clients don't pay for your availability, they pay for your results. And you can't deliver results when you're running on empty. Until you genuinely believe your boundary is valid, it will crumble the first time someone pushes back. You have to believe it before they will. Conviction is the invisible foundation that holds the other 3 C's together. Without it, clarity becomes wishful thinking, communication becomes a tentative suggestion, and consistency becomes impossible. The 4th C is consistency. Each time the boundary is crossed, it should be addressed. If a client emails you at 9 p.m. and you answer, you've just taught them that 9 p.m. is acceptable. If your family interrupts you during a focused work block and you let it slide, you've taught them that your work time is flexible. Consistency doesn't mean being rigid. It means being predictable. People actually feel safer when they know what to expect from you. Let me give you some entrepreneur-specific examples. For time boundaries, turn off work notifications after your set hours and use an auto reply that says when you'll respond. For client boundaries, state your response time up front. I reply to messages within 24 business hours. For family boundaries, put a visible sign on your office door during work blocks, or wear headphones so people know you're in focus mode. The common mistake here is over-explaining or apologizing when you state the boundary. You don't need a 3-paragraph essay about why you need the rule. 1 clear sentence is enough. You also don't need to justify your boundary with everything you've already done for that person. Your boundary stands on its own. And please don't try to set 5 boundaries this week. Pick one boundary communicated clearly, upheld consistently, will change more than 10 rules you abandon by Wednesday. Boundaries that grow your business. But I know what you're thinking. Won't clients leave if I'm less available? Won't my business suffer if I say no more often? The data says the opposite. Research on business growth and time boundaries shows that output-based management, where you measure and reward outcomes instead of activity, leads to higher productivity and stronger performance. Deloitte's 2026 Human Capital Trends confirm that organizations moving toward clear workload expectations and flexibility see better talent retention and performance. It doesn't matter when you work as long as you deliver results. It's not about working more hours. It's about protecting the hours you do work so you can actually think. Agile planning also depends on time boundaries. Rolling 12-month forecasts, updated monthly, weekly cash flow reviews, and clear time windows for strategy assessment help businesses react faster and execute better. When you have structured time for deep work and structured time for rest, you make better decisions. When you're exhausted, you make expensive mistakes. A tired brain isn't a strategic brain. Here's the reframe I want you to carry with you. Boundaries aren't walls that keep clients out. They're gates that protect the energy you need to serve clients well. A burned out entrepreneur produces mediocre work, misses deadlines, and eventually resent the very people she's trying to help. A rested entrepreneur brings creativity, speed, and genuine care to every project. Which version of you do you think clients would rather hire? I saw this with a client last year. She was answering emails until midnight, taking on low-paying projects because she felt guilty saying no and constantly interrupting her own work to help friends with favors. Her business had plateaued for 6 months because she was too scattered to market herself or raise her rates. When she finally set 3 clear boundaries, something surprising happened. She stopped answering email after 7 p.m. She set a 24-hour response time for non-urgent messages, and she took no work calls on Fridays. She had the mental space to take on one higher paying client who actually respected her process. Within 3 months, she replaced 2 low-paying clients with one who paid double. Her income went up, not down. Her clients didn't leave. The ones who demanded instant access at all hours weren't the clients she wanted to keep anyway. Your first boundary this week. So where do you actually start? You don't need to rebuild your entire schedule. You need one boundary set up properly, starting now. First, define your break. Maybe it's one evening a week, or the hour after dinner, or Sunday morning. Pick a specific time when you won't work. Write it down, make it real. Second, identify the one pressure point that drains you most right now. Is it late night emails, boundaryless clients who expect instant replies, family interruptions during your work blocks? Pick the one that costs you the most energy, not the one that bothers you a little, the one that exhausts you. Third, formulate one clear behavioral boundary. Not I want more time off, but I will not check work email after 7 p.m. or I take lunch away from my desk for a full hour, or I don't take client calls on Friday afternoons. Make it specific enough that someone else could tell whether you're following it. Specific boundaries are enforceable boundaries. Fourth, communicate it explicitly. Tell the people it affects calmly using I statements. I want to give you my best work, so I focus on email during business hours and respond by the next business day. That's it. No apology needed and no long explanation required. Your needs are valid without a defense attorney. Fifth, build a system that supports the boundary. Turn off notifications, set an auto reply, and put a sign on your door. Delete the app if you have to. Write your boundary down and keep it visible on paper or in your notes app so you see it when your willpower is low. Research on holiday and work boundaries consistently recommends this. Disable notifications, set autoresponders, remove apps if necessary, and line up coping strategies like journaling or talking to a trusted person so you have alternatives when you feel the urge to break the rule. Systems do the heavy lifting so you don't have to rely on willpower alone. Sixth, follow through. When the boundary is crossed, address it immediately. If you answer that 10 p.m. email once, you've reset the expectation. If you let the family interrupt your focus block once without a gentle reminder, the boundary becomes optional. Consistency is what makes it real. Consistency is what builds trust with others and with yourself. And here's one more thing that helps. Spend one focused hour before your break to plan the first tasks you'll tackle when you return. This lets your brain psychologically let go during your time off, because it knows the plan is already set. You're not abandoning your business, you're protecting it, and you're protecting the most important asset your business has, which is you. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. One boundary, 1 week, one small act of protecting your own time. That's where the change begins. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're the infrastructure your business needs to grow. When you protect your time, your energy, and your focus, you don't have less to give. You have more of the right things to give. What's the one boundary you're setting this week? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you're choosing, and I'll be reading every single one.